How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today we're here to talk about the 5 best suburbs Denver has to offer in 2025, and we're starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett. Listen, if you're interested in learning all the things about moving to or living in the Denver metro area and the Front Range, this is the channel for you. So make sure you click on that subscribe button and notification icon as I'm dropping new videos for you each and every week. And as much as I try to be a little informative here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state and team with some of the state's most talented realtors, helping people move here each and every day. So the number and email you see, know that I'm always the person to answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails there when and if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're here for, and that is the top 5 suburbs Denver has to offer in 2025. All right, so what goes into making a list of the best suburbs that a city has to offer? Well, to me, it was really the perspective of different lifestyles. Are you single? Are you a couple? Are you a family? Do you have little kids, big kids, you name it? Are schools important to you? Amenities? Do you want to be able to walk around? Do you want to feel safe? All of these different perspectives. So when putting together this list, I really wanted to look at suburbs that were versatile, that could deal with or cater to a variety of different individuals in different lifestyles. So in no particular order, we begin with Louisville, Colorado. And yes, before I go any further, in Colorado, we pronounce it Louisville. We still say Louisville for Kentucky, but the town here we call Louisville. Don't judge me. I'm just doing what they told me to do from, a century ago. Located northeast of Denver on your way to Boulder. Louisville is actually one of the closest suburbs to Boulder, and you'll see that one of the big factors in people moving to that area and living in Louisville is because of the fact that Boulder is right there. It's not the sole decision maker, of course, but a lot of people who might not be able to afford Boulder might be able to afford Louisville, and a lot of the amenities that you appreciate about a Boulder are there. What I mean by that, you've got a great downtown area, tons of walkability, shops, boutiques, a lot of locally owned businesses. You have Boulder Valley school districts. That's going to be very important for a lot of folks, whether they have kids or not. Good school districts tend to create good neighborhoods and vice versa. Being outdoors, a very important thing for Denver and Boulder, and that goes for Louisville as well. So you have a county and a town, that have made the determination of keeping a certain percentage of their land open to open space and trails and nature, and you really get that sense. And I would add at this moment, we're not just talking about Louisville. Boulder, Superior nearby, Lafayette nearby, all communities that really think about that outdoor space and trails and really enjoying the nature that Colorado has to offer. Louisville also has just a ton of community engagement. You really get a sense for not just the events they do, but how welcoming people are. And that includes the local governance that really thinks about the community and what they want people to be able to enjoy. Again, going back to that open space and how important that is, different decisions involving their community and how to bring people together. And a huge factor of Louisville is that proximity to both Denver and Boulder. You're closer to Boulder. You've probably got a 15-minute drive depending on what part of Louisville you are in. And you are roughly 25 to 30 minutes from Denver. So a pretty quick drive down that way, maybe with traffic, make it 35 minutes. But quick to Denver, very close to Boulder, right smack in the middle. Next up on the list, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you're going to call me a homer even though I'm not from there, and it is Littleton, Colorado. So Littleton, located south and southwest of Denver. If you Google it, you're going to see it's about a 15-20 minute drive south of Denver, but unincorporated Littleton really stretches, goes west all the way out to the Front Range and south of the suburb of Lakewood, where I live. Coincidentally, Lakewood's not on this list, so you can't judge me too harshly. So what makes Littleton great? Well, again, if you're familiar with my videos, you know how much of a fan of these downtown areas I am, and a lot of people are. So downtown Littleton, a huge factor for why Littleton is awesome. Main Street, 5 or 6 blocks filled with restaurants, boutiques, shops, bars, some great places to visit. Not too huge. You're not going to spend like days and days exploring downtown Littleton, but it's just a great area and great neighborhoods around that. Also, a pretty strong economic factor there in Littleton as there's a lot of businesses. Location. location is going to be key for anything. I think Littleton gives you a very nice blend of distance from Denver, but also the ability to get to Denver very quickly, to get to the Denver Tech Center quickly, Greenwood Village, where a lot of these businesses are. Obviously, the ability to get to the mountains very quickly. You're on that western slope. Now, a lot of this will depend on what part of Littleton you are in, and that's another factor. Littleton caters to a lot of different lifestyles. You can be close to downtown Littleton if you want that walkability and that, I'd say nightlife, but let's be real. I mean, things are going to quiet down around 10 o'clock to maybe midnight on a non-school night. But if you want to be more into the quieter suburbs, farther to the west, all available to you. So a lot there. Education. Very highly rated within Littleton school districts. Will cover you there. Obviously, you're going to check sources like greatschools.org, niche.com to get more information. But schools overall in Littleton rated very highly. Littleton, especially downtown, is also one of the more convenient locations for our light rail system, which is an amazing light rail. If, again, you're in one of these vicinities that can take advantage of it, downtown Littleton has that going for it. And I would also mention, when it comes to Littleton, you probably have one of the more diverse communities when it comes to housing options, because of the fact that you have, older historic neighborhoods where homes have been there for decades. Everything is situated all the way up to areas like Sterling Ranch, which is South Littleton, south of Chatfield Reservoir. That is a completely new built community. I mean, there was nothing there a handful of years ago, and now they continue to build more and more houses. A lot of folks I've talked to, they do enjoy, they like Sterling Ranch. They're kind of waiting to see, a lot of them, to see more get built out there. Right now, it's a lot of suburb, not as many amenities quite yet, but growing. But again, within Littleton, you're going to see just that diverse options and availability, whether it's single family, townhome, condos, a century old, mid-mods, brand new builds, you name it, Littleton is going to have it. Next up on the list, and highly regarded in general, is Parker, Colorado, located southeast of Denver, roughly a 30 to 45 minute drive to downtown, depending on traffic. That can certainly be extended. Sometimes you have traffic coming out of Parker that could extend that drive. But some of the bigger aspects of Parker, and you're going to hear some similarities amongst these communities, great downtown, historic, Parker, just fantastic on a summer day. I mean, it's fantastic year round, but fantastic on a summer day. Plenty of patios, you hear live music, shops. Again, not too big. You're not talking about a downtown area that's going to spend, days and days in. A bit smaller than Littleton's, maybe around the same size as Louisville's, but a lot to do there. Parker's also, again, not to be a broken record, going to have very popular schools there. And Parker is one of those communities that I think the reason that it comes so high on the list in general, and this isn't just my list, but this is one I confirmed by Suburbs that I enjoy. It's one where when I talk to clients, when I talk to friends, when I talk to colleagues that live in the Parker area, they rave about it. I don't hear many people who live in Parker who have negative things to say about it. It's just a very popular place to live. And Parker is filled with just fantastic neighborhoods. You have Pradera, you have the Pinery, which the Pinery is technically not Parker, but still considered part of Parker. You've got areas like Stonegate, Stroh Ranch, areas that are within walking range of getting to downtown, and then areas where you're going to be out. And not to say that downtown Parker is by any means this loud, noisy, you're not talking about downtown Denver next to, a music hall. But if you want to be very suburby, Parker has it. And if you want a neighborhood that has a lot of walkability, you have it. Parker's also big for outdoors. You're really close to Cherry Creek Trail that runs all the way out to Highlands Ranch and heading west. You've got a ton of open space. And I think one of those key components of Parker is when you go out there on a summer day and the sun's out, it's not too hot yet, and you go to one of the parks in that community and you see baseball fields filled with kids. And on another field, there's kids playing soccer, and there's an equestrian ring with horses running around, and there's just people of different walks of life. I think Parker gives that great blend, and it is, and I say this truly, I have lived on the west side of Denver my entire life. I've lived in the Front Range closest to the mountains. If my family were to move to the east side of town, I think hands down Parker would be the area that we looked at. That's how highly we feel about Parker, and that's how highly the responses we've gotten to people have been about that community. Next up, and one that has been popular for some time, and that is Thornton, Colorado, located just north of Denver. You're roughly a 20 to 25 minute drive. Again, considering traffic, somebody's going to say it takes you 10 minutes to drive into the city. Thornton is a growing city. A lot of good things happening from an economic standpoint there. And Thornton has long been a suburban community that people look to for greater affordability. So while prices have gone up around Denver in general, Thornton still has some great prices on homes in good communities, whether you're talking about single family homes, townhomes, condos, I say, kind of covers the gamut. You've got a lot of recreational facilities in Thornton, a lot of different things for people to do, to get out and about. Again, all of these communities are going to have, I said some similarities. A ton of open space, a ton of trails, and Thornton gives you pretty quick access. You're just slightly north of I-70, so you can get down and get over into the mountains, whether you take I-70 or I-76, rather quickly. Schools in Thornton, again, overall pretty well rated, a community that, and you're always, when you're looking at school districts, you're going to want to do your due diligence on specific schools themselves, but overall, they have pretty high ratings. And a lot of community development within Thornton. And as you look at Thornton and its neighboring suburb, Westminster, you're going to see a ton. You're going to see a ton of new construction in certain areas. You're going to see a lot of growth as far as walkable shopping areas, walking malls, things of that nature. Thornton has talked about kind of some creation of downtown areas. We've seen, again, more walkable malls there, but not necessarily that downtown area. Next up, what would be number 5, but remember I said I'd sneak in number 6, is Broomfield, Colorado. So Broomfield, same direction as Louisville, but a little closer to Denver, heading northwest out of Denver. So Broomfield is not just a large town, it's its own county. So it is sizable. One knock, again, I'll mention on Broomfield, no central downtown area. It's one of my favorites. But I do mention that because there isn't one specific area of Broomfield that you might target. It really depends on what type of neighborhood you like. But Broomfield gives you the spectrum. So we're talking about a community that has been built primarily over the last handful of decades and has a ton of new construction going on today in areas like Anthem, areas like Baseline that we will talk about. So a couple things as far as Broomfield. So the median income in Broomfield sat around $112,000. It's one of the highest median incomes in the Denver metro area. Now, you might hear that and say, well, then prices have to be high. And the short answer of that is it depends. So Broomfield will have some strong affordable areas. I mean, affordable as perspective, and it'll also have your high end. It has a little bit of everything, again, because of that size. So you'll see some, modest neighborhoods, again, good areas to live in, but they're not necessarily at the highest price point. And then you'll drive by some neighborhoods where maybe I'll be able to afford it in my next lifetime. Broomfield's going to be huge for the fact that you have great location. You are located basically right between Boulder and Denver, and you have really quick access to get over to the airport. So popular for that reason. Couple other factors playing in Broomfield's advantages along Route 36, which is the road that basically takes you from I-25 over into Boulder, is an area called the Interlochen. So you'll see a big tech and aerospace presence there. A lot of big companies along that area. Great golf course for you golfers out there. I kind of roll my eyes because I'm a terrible golfer. I apologize in advance. But the Interlochen, and that is just part of the economic opportunities of Broomfield. So it's one of those communities where a lot of people who move there are moving there because they will be working within Broomfield, not necessarily just one of those suburbs where you have to drive somewhere else for your work opportunities. And as far as schools, the county is covered by Boulder Valley School District. You got Adams 12, both highly rated. So a lot of good schools to choose from there in Broomfield, depending on what area you are in. So just in general, a lot to like about Broomfield. And last but not least, we have Central Park. So that's my little bonus. Central Park, formerly named Stapleton years ago, they changed the name more recently. So you will see that. Central Park, located basically kind of east Denver, not really north of the town. It's just kind of heading out east, right along I-70. Central Park, a lot of new construction, master plan community, so you really think about how they plotted out where shops and everything are going to be. A lot of trails connecting them. Can't call it Central Park without a park, so they've got a great park there. So some really good community there. I think for people who are looking for that newer community, they want a good location. Central Park's pretty close to, getting into Denver pretty fast. Price points, can be aggressive on buying a house, but not like brutally. It's not, the most expensive place you're going to see either. You've got some great educational options there in Central Park. And again, the reason I include it is when people are talking about wanting to be in a suburb that's still pretty close to Denver, that quick access, tough to beat Central Park from that standpoint. You get on I-70 and you get into Denver in a hurry. Also, if you are looking for access to the airport, really tough. None of the other suburbs that I mentioned will compete with Central Park's proximity to getting out to DIA. So if that's important to you, Denver International Airport, I apologize for the acronym. There's that. Now listen, this is the perfect opportunity though for you to make a comment on the video. Feel free to make it positive because I know people love to be negative. What are your favorite suburbs? What are your favorite areas of Denver? And if you are thinking about moving here, what are the areas you are considering? Maybe I'll make a video about it. In the meantime, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett. That was the top 5 suburbs, snuck 6 one in for you in 2026. And until I see you next time, peace.